Hi, I'm Pat. Welcome to another episode of Passion of the Geeks Unplugged. This is
Hey Pat, I'm here as well.
Oh,
This is a regular episode again.
you need to talk. I'm sorry, Greg.
Roll the intro.
Welcome to Passion of the Geeks, the show in which two friends and fellow geeks talk about geek and pop culture and everything else we enjoy. I am Pat.
And I'm Greg.
And let's get on with it. So, Greg, summer is almost over and we're back to our regular schedule.
I mean, I'm glad that we're back to regular programming, that we talk to each other again. But obviously, I'm really sad that I have to go back to work on Tuesday, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, regular programming resumes. I enjoyed, I'm not going to say that I enjoyed summer not having to podcast with you, but I enjoyed kind of the downtime and not having to schedule everything. But I'm really looking forward to our upcoming episodes. We have some really cool topics planned. And I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, I learned a lot about retro gaming and stuff like that during the summer holidays. But yeah, I think that's a story for another time. I think at some point we have to do a retro gaming episode together.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. I mean, we had the Origins back in...
Origins,
in an earlier episode, but it would be fun to cover that together again.
I mean, maybe... And that's just... That just came to me. Maybe we should do something for our YouTube channel. Kind of, you show me some retro games and we film it or something like that. Maybe that might be something cool. I don't know.
Oh, that sounds like a fun idea.
I have too many ideas. That was summer.
No, brainstorming is cool. No. And I mean, your episodes were quite interesting. I got a lot of new things to read and watch. So, that was really fun.
I mean, I talked to some friends over summer and we had this discussion of, there are all these streaming services and everything, and it's really hard to figure out what to watch. And then I said to them, that's why Pat and we have a podcast where we recommend things. That's exactly why we're doing this.
Yeah, public service.
Public service, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There are a lot of streaming services out there, and sometimes it just gets hard to have the right subscription for the things you want to watch. And it's quite a lot.
Maybe that's another episode topic, ranking streaming services.
Oh.
Which is the one you need to get if you could only get one?
Well, if I take our today's episode as the number, so it would be definitely Disney Plus.
Yeah, because today we're talking about Loki, the new Disney Plus TV show, and Black Widow, a movie that also premiered on Disney Plus. Yeah, Premier Access and in theaters.
Yeah.
So that's our topic for today. So quite Disney Plus heavy. But it's a MarvelMania episode, so yeah.
And Marvel is part of Disney.
Yeah.
There will be one Netflix series I will recommend. So let's dive into it, shall we, Greg?
Yes, we shall.
So in our Today I Found Out segment, Greg, did you?
I mean, I'm keeping it on topic, on brand. I'm talking Disney. I'm talking Black Widow. Basically, I'm talking about Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson suing Disney for breach of contract. So I think it was the weekend after Black Widow premiered in theaters and on Disney Plus that, there was this news about Scarlett Johansson suing Disney for breach of contract because due to Black Widow coming out on Disney Plus Premier Access the same time as they premiered the movie in theaters, they basically broke her contract because they promised her many years ago, obviously, a theatrical release. And apparently her compensation, her salary for the movie is kind of tied to box office performance. And I mean, for me, obviously, if a movie comes out day and date on a streaming service, that's going to have some impact on performance at the box office. So, I mean, I would argue, Scarlett Johansson is well in her right to kind of try and get the money that she was promised. Disney kind of was really weird in the way they kind of answered her lawsuit. Basically, they said, don't be like this. We're in a pandemic and we already gave you $20 million. And I mean, I don't know if that's the best way to deal with one of your stars that shaped one of your biggest franchises for the last almost 10 years. So I don't know who did that. And apparently Kevin Feige isn't too happy as well. So I'm just arguing. I'm usually, or most of the time, on the side of talent when they have arguments with the big corporate overlords, and this is definitely no exception. Strangely enough, I just read today that Emma Stone, she signed a deal for Cruella 2.
Okay.
And Cruella was another movie that came out on Premiere Access, and I'm not sure if they had other deals there or kind of maybe she was compensated differently. But I mean, I don't know what's going on there. I just hope they sort it out.
I mean, you're totally right. It's a really strange situation. I mean, I know that Disney probably does the best they can considering the situation we're in currently. But I think that if you have your star tied to the number of ticket sales for theaters, and you just cannot have the ticket sales that you usually would have, I think this would be the time where you renegotiate your contract and find a solution that fits everyone. I mean, yeah, sure, 20 million is a lot, no question there. But I mean, a contract is a contract. And yeah, I think that could have been handled more cleverly, perhaps.
I mean, the way I read it, I mean, Scarlett Johansson's team, I think they tried to contact Disney and renegotiate and stuff like that. But apparently they just were not called back. Okay. Which I find really, really strange. Yeah. And yeah, apparently Kevin Feige wasn't too happy about the Disney Plus release as well, because yeah, obviously it's gonna eat box office. I mean, I think they were quite happy with the first weekend, but after that, I mean, I don't need to go to the cinema 3 or 4 times if I can just buy it once and watch it on Disney Plus. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in September, they're releasing Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings, and that movie is theaters only, the way I understood it.
Except the world goes crazy again.
Except if the world goes crazy again, yeah. What are we, Delta or Lambda variant or something?
I stopped counting.
I mean, here's the thing. Omega variant. That sounds scary. That sounds scary, but yeah.
The last one.
The last one.
Yeah.
So yeah, what about you? Do you have some news for us today?
Yeah, and I decided not to take something about Marvel, and I decided to sneak a little bit of retro gaming into our main podcast.
What a surprise.
I'm sorry, but these news are spectacular. Well, for retro gaming community, perhaps. And that is the A500 Mini will be released next year. The A500 is, of course, the Amiga 500. And it's basically what the name says. It's a smallish Amiga 500 delivered with 25 games. And yeah, I mean, we all know that. We know the Nintendo, the NES Mini, the Super Nintendo Mini. And I think it was last year, there was the C64 Mini released, which is basically a Commodore 64. And that team, Retrotech, they doing the A500 Mini. And contrary to its name, it's actually not just an Amiga 500. It also emulates the Amiga 600 and the Amiga 1200. So it also has the more colorful AGA chipset that's been emulated in there. But it looks like an Amiga 500. And I think it's great because they announced that it will have complete access for the customer. You can upload other games that you own. And it kind of uses a system called WHD load. So you don't have to change disks, which I think it will be a great little thing. The one problem I have with it is, while I would be theoretically the target audience because I grew up with an Amiga 500, I'm also not the target audience because, well, I have a real Amiga 500 and I have my own emulation set up and everything. So I will probably not buy it. But there is a chance that with the C64, they made the Maxi version, which actually is a full-size Commodore 64 with a working keyboard. And if they make an Amiga 500 full-size with the keyboard working, I will think about it.
So let me get this. So basically what you're complaining about now is that they're releasing a system that makes it easier to play Amiga games than your current setup.
Yes and no. It does not make it easier because if you want to add your own games, it's still a tedious process because you need the double HD load slaves and everything. But yeah, if you just want those 25 games they have included, then yes, it is easier because they are pre-installed, they are on hard drive. There are some really great games included. So they announced 12 of them. I'm really looking forward to hear what the others are. Yeah, it would be a great way to get into Amiga gaming if you have nostalgic memories playing on your Amiga. I think, yeah.
I have a little Super Nintendo with, I think it's also 20 games pre-installed. Yeah. And I quite like that one a lot because it's so easy to use. And
yeah, certainly. One of the problems I have with these mini consoles is that they usually they don't go the whole 9 yards. It's just an emulation that works for these games that come pre-installed, and they're just the US versions. And I have nothing against that. My whole library is US versions, but I think if you sell this in a German-speaking country, why not include the German versions that do exist? Why not go that additional step?
I mean, I think that's not a bug. It's a feature. It's to annoy the Germans.
Yeah.
And I mean, sorry to our German listeners. I don't know how many we have, but I mean, if you can annoy the Germans just a little bit, I would make it corporate policy to do that. I mean, it's just too funny not to. It's too funny not to.
Yeah. Well, it's just that I think there is potential there, and they usually haven't used that whole potential. I think there is still air. They haven't reached the ceiling yet.
And I mean, and just to kind of make my point clear. I mean, it's not that I have something against Germans or whatever. It's just vengeance for German dubs of movies and German or Austrian theater chains only showing German dubs of their movies, which is something that really annoys me.
Yeah.
So I think let's call it karma.
Yeah, Greg is right, by the way. Please show more original movies in your cinemas.
So I feel that I'm a little bit more mean after this summer break. This is not going to bode well for my students next week.
And I thought you might be relaxed.
I feel really confrontational at the moment. I mean, so far we're only a couple of minutes in and I've already pissed off Disney and the Germans. This is going great.
Yeah, there's potential in this episode. Before you piss off anyone else, let's go to our next segment, shall we?
Yeah, we shall, yeah.
It's a check this out segment. And Greg, anything to check out?
I watched The Suicide Squad. The is very important. The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's follow-up to David Ayer's Suicide Squad from a couple of years ago. Some of the cast is returning. There's some new additions to the cast. And I think at some point when you had the chance to see it as well, we probably could do a little bit of a little in-depth review about this one as well, because I think it's a really fun movie. I like it a lot. It's not one of my favorite James Gunn movies. It's not one of my favorite James Gunn superhero movies. Let's say I like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies better, but it was definitely a huge improvement from the previous Suicide Squad movie. It's fun. The characters are interesting, and kind of, even though some of these characters are really, really silly and really crazy, you actually feel for them. I mean, and I hope this is not a spoiler, but you care for Polka Dot Man.
Okay.
I mean, there's Polka Dot Man, and you actually care for him, which I would consider a great feat. So Suicide Squad, interestingly enough, didn't do that well at the box office. Kind of the opening weekend was 26 million in America, kind of disappointing. But I don't think it's because of the quality of the movie. It's one of the better DC movies. I would argue it's totally different than Shazam, but they're doing the same things right, I would argue.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's silly plots, silly characters, but somehow it works. So Suicide Squad, definitely a DC movie worth checking out.
Sounds interesting. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Suicide Squad, not in the comics, and it's not my type of let's call them hero squad. And I had no interest in watching it prior to your short review here. And what you tell me actually makes me want to see it. So, I guess I will watch it, and maybe we will review it together.
I mean, the thing is, I think the premise of Suicide Squad is actually quite interesting. You have this huge rogues gallery. Let's put them together in a movie, and it doesn't matter if they die.
That's true. Yeah.
And I mean, you have so many interesting actors portraying interesting villains or heroes or whatever. Somehow James Gunn makes it work, and as I said before, that's a huge accomplishment. And I mean, obviously the standouts, as I said, are David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot Man. He also plays one of Scott's friends in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He's one of those.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She's always good. Idris Elba plays kind of another character, but basically it's Will Smith's role. And yeah, there are so many other interesting characters in there. So, I mean, even Rick Flag is cool in this movie.
Okay.
Okay. And you have John Cena as the Peacemaker, and I think he gets his own series. But yeah, let's talk about the Suicide Squad another time.
Yeah, maybe we do that.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, this is the Netflix part of our episode today. And I watched Masters of the Universe Revelation. And, I was kind of looking forward to this. And I was telling a little bit about Kevin Smith, things he had kind of denied. And we all know that often things he denies are true anyway. So a lot of things that people feared Kevin would do, he actually did. But it works. I think Masters of the Universe Revelation is awesome. It really hits all my spots. It's Masters of the Universe at its best. And I think one of the things that make it this good is a bold choice he does in the very first episode. I don't know if we should spoil here.
Let's try not to spoil too much.
Because it's really, really emotional. And it's really well written. It's beautifully drawn. It's the same guys that made the Castlevania series. It's just less bloody than the Castlevania series, less gory. And that's a good thing. I like that. I would say that in the Castlevania series, the gore is one of the negative factors in my opinion, but that's just me. And I mean, honestly, the writing is so good in the story that there is a scene where a green talking cat has a speech and you're in tears because it works. It's really wonderful. He uses a lot of characters from the Masters of the Universe toy line that I think never before were used, at least not that I could remember. And they used so well. Plus, it has an awesome soundtrack by Bear McCreary, I think. It's really... I think you watched it as well. Did you, Greg?
Yeah, I did, yeah. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. So if you hear it's shit, if you hear... if you see all the review bombing that is happening, don't listen to these guys, because it's not. You just need to be a little open-minded when you watch it. And I mean, it's Masters of the Universe Revelation for a reason. There is a reason why this is the title and not anything else.
Yeah, I mean, let's offend another group of people. I mean, if you don't like it for one specific reason that we're trying not to spoil here, I would just say, yeah, why don't you just get a bigger car? And I mean, what you said, or kind of what you tried to describe, and I would argue, I think the series works because it makes some bold choices that give the show some stakes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's different from the original, because in the original, after every episode, basically we're back at the status quo. Yeah. And here you actually have change, you have character growth, and that only works because of some bold choices that I think we haven't seen the be at end of it all, actually.
No.
There's going to be more, obviously.
I mean, there are 5 episodes for now. There are 5 more coming. I don't know exactly when the release date will be.
I hope soon, but...
I hope it won't be cancelled. I really, really hope.
No, I don't think so.
And I really hope that all the review bombing won't make Mr. Smith change things from his original vision, because that would be sad.
I think he's pretty immune to reviews at this point in his career.
I think so too. I mean, there's always the studio.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. If you have nothing better to do in your life than to review bomb Masters of the Universe Revelation, God have mercy on your soul. I mean, seriously, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Okay, yeah. Well, seriously, watch it. It's awesome. And watch it all the way through. Well then, Greg, let's go to our story of the week.
Yeah, let's not try not to offend more people.
Yeah, no, we're done offending people.
You never know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, and today we would want to look at both Loki and Black Widow. And we were talking about this a little bit, and we were kind of thinking that talking about these two shows, movie and show, without going into spoiler territory, actually does not make a lot of sense. Don't you agree?
I mean, especially for Loki.
Yeah.
I mean, you could definitely talk a little bit about Black Widow. But I mean, that being said, I think because it's very easily available, I think most of the people actually want to watch Black Widow and listen to our podcast have probably already done so. If not, kind of from my point of view, watch Loki, watch Black Widow, and then come back.
Yeah.
The show Loki is very, very interesting and kind of opens the Marvel universe up to some really cool places, some really interesting possibilities, introduces some really new, interesting characters and concepts and everything. And Black Widow is a movie that maybe should have come out a couple of years ago, but that it's very good, entertaining. And I just think it's really crazy that Loki and Black Widow are part of the same universe at this point. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
I think that's, if you needed a reason to watch those two things. And I mean, Loki is 6 episodes, I think.
Yeah, it's 6 episodes.
6 episodes. Black Widow is a little bit over 2 hours. So manageable content.
Yeah.
So go watch it. We'll be here when you're done.
That's right. Because the rest of this will have spoilers.
Spoiler alert. You've been warned.
So, let's begin with Loki, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Loki has been released on Disney Plus, like anything else, and it's, as we said, 6 episodes, stars Tom Hiddleston as Loki. And I mean, that's the first thing I want to say. Tom is brilliant. I liked his performance a lot.
I mean, it just seems that he has a lot of fun with this character. I mean, obviously, Tom Hiddleston is a very accomplished actor. And, I mean, he could be somebody, okay, I have this silly superhero role that I don't really like to do. But that's not the case at all. He's all in this character. And I think that's why Loki is, I think, still to this day, the coolest anti-hero or anti-villain or whatever that the Marvel Universe has. And it comes through in Loki as well. He's just very, very watchable, and he commits.
Yeah, he commits totally. He works very, very well. And there is his co-star introducing.
I mean, there are many co-stars, and I think let's start talking a little bit about the characters first, and then maybe go into setup. So, I mean, there are 2 other characters for me that stand out. I mean, obviously, it's the female Loki.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
yes.
At the end of the day, I mean, it's not only Tom Hiddleston's show.
Yeah.
It's also Sylvie's show, Sophia Di Martino, who plays basically she's a female Loki. She's a Loki variant, which I kind of think is a very interesting addition to kind of the Marvel Universe. I mean, we're getting the multiverse full on and official with Loki. And basically it's, the whole show is about the TVA trying to, make sure that the multiverse does not exist. And then in the end, we find out that's not everything that was going on. But I think you were probably talking about Owen Wilson and Mobius.
Yeah. Owen Wilson is Mobius, a TVA agent. And he's such a fantastic addition and such a counterweight to what Tom Hiddleston does with Loki. He absolutely shines in every scene he is. And I'm actually I wasn't such a huge Owen Wilson fan, I think. But here, the contrast to Loki is phenomenal.
I mean, the thing is, they play really well together. I mean, it's for them, and kind of that's what makes it interesting. It's in a way, it's a two-hander between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, Loki and Mobius. But then it turns into this two-hander with Sylvie and Loki, or Loki and male Loki and female Loki. So kind of the shift of perspective is quite interesting. That being said, if the whole show were just Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston solving time crimes or multiverse crimes or whatever, I'd be up for that as well.
I would have watched it.
Kind of like like Quantum Leap or something like that with Loki and Mobius. I'd totally watch that.
Yeah, that would have been a fun series.
But obviously that's not what they deliver. They deliver something, more complicated, one could argue. So I think, I mean, there are other really interesting characters. For example, Gugu Mbatha-Raw as Ravonna Renslayer. Kind of, she's almost the head of the TVA, the Time Variant Authority. Kind of it is this bureaucracy that tries to control the multiverse. And yeah, I think should we spoil? Yeah, or no? Let's wait for the other big reveal. Let's push that a little bit to the back. I mean,
we made a spoiler alert tag.
We made a spoiler alert, obviously. Yeah.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I mean, and obviously the big bad, and I think he's gonna be very, very important in the future. Jonathan Majors as He Who Remains, and let's be honest, let's call him Kang, or at least one version of Kang the Conqueror, which is probably going to be the new Thanos. I don't know.
Well, probably. I think this is the way they're going to go. I think so, yes. Kang is a fantastic villain, and I think he is just as powerful as a villain. Not exactly with his power, but as a villain, he's just as powerful as Thanos was, or he could be.
I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, I know who Kang is. I know him from the comics. But, I mean, that being said, he was definitely the weakest point of Loki.
Yeah, I mean, you're actually right. I mean, the problem with him was that he came at the very end of the series, and he basically made this huge exposition dump.
I mean, it was basically the architect's scene from The Matrix.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not the only one, and probably not the first one to make that comparison. But I mean, he's just sitting there and he talks.
Yeah,
that's basically what happens.
Yeah, and at that point, our heroes are just as powerless as Neo was during that architect scene. So, yeah, that's a good comparison. I like that a lot. And I mean, he eats an apple. He must be the evil guy.
It's one of those things, you just give people something to eat because it gives them something to do and makes their monologue more interesting. I don't know.
Well, it was actually pretty cool, these little displays that he made.
Yeah.
It was interesting visually. It wasn't boring or anything. That's not it. But it was just a lot.
It was just a big info dump that they dressed up interesting. Yeah.
It would have been interesting, I think, to get the info in smaller parts, and maybe that Loki and Sylvie would have found out a lot of these little things before they meet him. So a little bit like a detective story. But yeah.
I mean, I think at that point they had 6 episodes and they needed to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, I'm not sure if another episode would have made it more interesting or whatever. I think the build up to that moment was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's just, I mean, I think at this point, Loki, or the show Loki, just seems like one cog in a big machine that tries to introduce the multiverse. And there were certain things that had to happen in a certain way and certain things that had to be explained. So yeah, that's basically what they settled on. And I mean, it's quite interesting. I mean, another spoiler here. Loki will return for a second season.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm kind of interested in when is that set? How does that connect to maybe something like the Multiverse of Madness, or maybe something that we will definitely mention in a few minutes? What if? How does it connect to that? And I just think it's really crazy that Marvel goes all into the multiverse idea, which I think is a very smart move, kind of considering that at some point you need to recast certain actors, or at a certain point you want to course correct certain decisions you made in the past or whatever. But just the idea that we're here talking about the multiverse, and it's probably one of the biggest media franchises ever, and they expect the larger population to be on board with this. It's just really, really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the whole multiverse thing is usually something that is reserved for the geekier geeks, those that read the Elseworld comics and stuff. And this becoming the mainstream media, that's really interesting choice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And kind of one other thing that I found really cool, and I think it was the first episode actually. I mean, the Loki that is the star of the show is not the Loki that kind of died in Infinity War or whatever. This Loki is the Loki from Avengers, from the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, actually, he is the Loki from Endgame when they return back and take the Tesseract from him. It's basically the first Avengers Loki, but gone from its timeline.
Yeah, but he escapes. He escapes in Endgame, and that's the kind of the beginning of the show. And they need to get that Loki, which is a bad guy and everything. They have 60 minutes to turn him into a good guy that we root for. And kind of they manage to do it. And this is I don't know why that is, but the last couple of Marvel movies have spent so much time making Thor: The Dark World better. I mean, it's here again. We get scenes from Thor: The Dark World, which is widely considered as one of the worst ones. But here, it's pivotal moment in the plot. In Endgame, pivotal moment in the plot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going on here.
I should watch it again.
Thor: The Dark World, the greatest second act of any movie. Also, the history of that. It gets better the more they revisit it. Let's put it that way.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And I mean, they totally succeed in making Loki someone that we root for, that we like, that we don't no longer see as the villain in the space of this first episode. And I think one reason this works is because they put him through bureaucracy.
Yeah. You immediately feel sympathy.
Yeah, you immediately feel.
Immediately. Oh, so sorry, so sorry.
And I mean, it could be considered a little bit over the top because the bureaucracy we have there is sort of like I would say the Cold War Russian type of bureaucracy.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic scenario for what the TVA is, and it's both really hilarious and actually really deep.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some other cool moments. So there are even more Lokis. So of all the Lokis, which one is your favorite Loki?
Well, I probably, this is really hard, but probably the old Loki.
Classic Loki, Richard E. Grant. He's awesome. I mean, he rocks the costume. Sorry, he just rocks the costume. Obviously, props to Alligator Loki as well. But yeah, I mean, Richard E. Grant, I mean, for him alone, the show is worth it. I mean, just one thing I would like, or kind of a couple of things I would like to mention. So I like the writing of the show. Kind of the showrunner or kind of creator or kind of head writer, Michael Waldron. He used to write Rick and Morty. And I think you see some of that kind of craziness a little bit in there. And the direction is, I think they directed some of it actually during the pandemic, so that to cope with that. Directed by Kate Herron. Very well done. But for me, the standout behind the scenes is the music. Yeah, I love the music of Loki by Natalie Holt. And I think so far, not just of these Disney TV shows, I think of all the Marvel soundtracks, probably the Loki TV soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks in the Marvel universe.
That's a bold claim, but I mean, it's really good. I like it a lot. I like the way it perfectly has the time theme in it, and the little nuances that there are from the theme wherever it fits. It's really well done. I'm not sure if it will be my favorite, but it's certainly one of the best. Yes. Yeah. That's a great soundtrack.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about Loki before we move on?
Just one little thing. With Loki, we're no longer in the MCU, are we? We're no longer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're now in the MCM, in the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse.
I mean, if I were them, I would not rebrand it.
No.
But yeah, technically, Loki introduced the multiverse properly.
And I mean, we will see the multiverse then, of course, with Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, probably with Spider-Man. We got some glimpses from there. But right now, the first thing is we now get the What If series.
Yeah, the first episode just hit last Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously I watched it. You watched it as well, I assume.
Yeah, certainly.
And yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I like how they don't do too much in this first episode. They don't go too crazy. I mean, there were some rumors what probably in store there with these What If episodes. And I like they had in its core, a very simple premise for the very first What If episode, kind of to get into it. But it worked very, very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, kind of for exactly the reasons that you mentioned. It's just it's a small but interesting difference. Yeah. Or let's try not to spoil that one.
Okay.
Because I think with these what ifs, I think what the change is actually what I think what makes the episodes interesting. Just one thing that I thought is really funny, kind of harkens back to our Masters of the Universe discussion. Apparently, there is also a small part of the internet is also not happy with that episode.
No,
because of the design of one specific character.
Okay.
And kind of their argument is how is that a woman?
Oh, okay.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I get what they're hinting at.
and again, I mean, come on, what's your problem? Seriously. But yeah, so What If, definitely worth your time as well. I mean, they're only half-hour episodes. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, me too, totally. And the great thing is, a lot of the original cast of the MCU reprises their roles as voice actors, of course, because it's a cartoon. But and that works very, very well. So yeah, watch it. It's great.
It's great, yeah.
But let's go to Black Widow.
Yeah, let's move on to Black Widow. So, what were your initial thoughts about Black Widow? I'm gonna give you the chance to start again.
Yeah, I really liked it. I love Black Widow as a character. It's one of my favorite Marvel heroes. I just love Marvel heroes that are not gods or a literal Superman. I like Marvel heroes that are a little less powerful, like Black Widow and Hawkeye. They're both my favorites. And the thing is, the movie Black Widow does not have the right impact for me because it has the problem that most prequels have. It's very hard to form the right connection with a character you basically know the fate of. Maybe that was intended because they wanted to give more focus to the, well, let's face it, the new Black Widow. And maybe that's it. But for a movie that is called Black Widow and yeah, it's still Natasha Romanoff, wasn't that easy to form that emotional connection.
I mean, I think the problem is, the movie is too late.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, they should have done these years ago. I mean, that being said, what they do with the movie, what they do with the characters, I actually like a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And kind of, it's interesting that you say kind of Black Widow is not a god superhero, because in the end of the movie, she almost is.
Yeah, almost. And that's probably one of the things about the movie that I didn't like as much. I think at times, I mean, let's face it, the action set pieces are all really, really great, especially in the beginning when there's a lot of on the ground. But sometimes it just felt a little bit like, a human being would be dead now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's of course, this is an action movie and they it's okay to not be realistic because that would be boring. But sometimes it felt to me like, is that Thor or is that Black Widow?
I mean, the thing is, and I really liked the movie, but for me, the longer the movie went on, the weaker it got for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I loved the beginning. I thought the middle part was really cool, and the ending was okay. That's kind of how I got through the movie, and yeah, I'm repeating myself because we know what happens to Black Widow. It's, I mean, yeah, obviously, yeah, we know that she survives this one because she dies later.
Yeah.
We know that Florence Pugh, Yelena Belova is kind of set up to take over the Black Widow mantle. But yeah, as you said, there's some immediacy is missing. And I mean, and that being said, I mean, usually, and this is no exception there, I like low stakes Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't think that every superhero movie should be about saving the world. And I mean, here it's obviously in the larger sense, what they do has repercussions for the world. But I mean, they're doing the mission they're on is very, very personal. But maybe there are a few scenes missing that would have made it a little bit more personal. And I mean, they tried to do that with the. We get information about Budapest. We get information about what she had to do to kind of defect to S.H.I.E.L.D. We get that, and we get what happened because of that. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't completely hit home. It's I would say it's 85% there.
Yeah, you're totally right. And this is probably one of the reasons why the third act just doesn't feel as powerful, because there's kind of, how should I say that? I mean, I kind of felt that certain things were made up too easy. The whole brainwashing thing, I think this is, it's a rather easy cop-out, in my opinion. It would have been cooler maybe if these widows would have done that because they thought it was the right thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, kind of with the premise of the movie, or kind of the metaphor that the movie is trying to convey. I mean, these women, they're not bad people.
Yeah,
they're manipulated by basically Harvey Weinstein. That's basically what's going on here. I mean, he's a fat, ugly dude. I mean, I'm really sorry, Ray Winston, but that's it. And yeah, I mean, come on, that's no surprise.
Yeah, no.
and I mean, that's why obviously they had this MacGuffin of this antidote to this chemical control. And I mean, the way they explain it, that they had to do this after Natasha defected, because she was only psychologically trained.
Yeah.
And now that's why they're doing it now chemically.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing, in the end, you want a fight between Black Widow and other Black Widows, but you don't want them to kill each other.
Yeah.
And but again, that being said, and I think that's why I like the opening so much. I think the opening focused on this little fake family and kind of had some very strong Americans vibe, the TV show. And I really loved the opening because obviously David Harbour is great in it. Rachel Weisz is always awesome. And I mean, I would have liked to watch kind of a show about them growing up in Ohio and doing spy stuff as well. I mean, in the end, kind of the movie is never more interesting than it is in those first 10 minutes, including the opening credits.
Yeah.
Kind of that's the part of the movie that's really hard hitting. I mean, they're raising some serious issues there. I mean, human trafficking, sex slavery, and whatever is in there, and they just gloss over it a little bit, which is okay. That's one way to deal with it, but kind of the ramifications of the beginning are really, really, serious. And I think they deliberately toned it down a little bit later on because I mean, it's a Marvel Disney movie after all, so they don't want to give you all the facts about human trafficking. I mean, they obviously give you all the facts about female castration or hysterectomy. They're very graphic about that, which is probably one of my favorite scenes later in the movie. But yeah, I would have liked them to be a little bit more bold. Yeah, I mean, the opening is really great. It's just I'm one of those who is glad that not the whole movie was like this, because maybe it's because I'm a parent as well, and I have a daughter in almost in the same age, and that really hit me quite a bit. Those scenes and everything, the fake family, what they did afterwards, and
Yeah, I'm glad it got toned down a little bit.
Yeah, but you think I loved it, but that part was really interesting.
It was really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I get your point of view, but kind of for me, we have 20 plus movies in the MCU. Why can't there be one movie that explores something like this a little bit more in depth?
Yeah, sure.
That's kind of all I'm saying is that I think if they want to go forward and if they want to keep making these movies, they need to be a little bit bolder with some. And I mean, they're doing some pretty bold stuff in Black Widow. They're doing some pretty cool and interesting and bold stuff in Loki. They did some really cool, bold stuff with WandaVision and even Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I think, you have so many movies. I think Black Widow could be a more somber spy thriller, broken family thing. And I think people would actually like it because it is something different. And let's be honest, after halfway point in the movie, it's a Marvel movie.
That's absolutely true, and I agree. I agree with you. It's just I probably couldn't have watched it in one sitting then, because all of the children drugging and stuff. This is really for me. It was really tough to watch that, and
it was tough for me as well.
Yeah,
it's supposed to. It's very brutal actually.
It is.
There's this guy they trust.
Yeah,
and he lets them get drugged, and he knows what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, this is the thing. The change from I'm father. Let's escape. We're going home. And then his wife is shot. The children are crying and taken. And what does he do? He smiles and embraces the boss. And that was hard. Yeah.
But I think that's part of his character. And I think he redeems himself.
Yeah, he does.
At least a little bit. Obviously, and I liked it as well. He's not a good guy actually.
No,
but he redeems himself, and I think at the end of the movie, I truly believe that this patchwork family actually had family feelings for each other, even though they had to go through everything. And honestly, as I said, it's 85% believable that it worked out that way.
And as I said, I would have probably changed a couple of things. I'm not really happy with what they did with the other widows, with the red antigen, and I totally did not like the bit with the pheromones at the end. I kind of felt that was very, very cheap.
That was very plotty, yeah.
Yeah, and Taskmaster, very, well, how should I put it? Underused? Could you call it underused?
Obviously the concept of Taskmaster is pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
And I actually liked where they went with his identity.
Mm-hmm.
Because it made sense, and that part worked out. But Taskmaster did not get enough screen time, I think.
Plus, again, Taskmaster just was brainwashed, and everything was good when he got the red antigen stuff, which was, I would have loved if Taskmaster would really into it. If he, or should I call her she, would it would really hate Black Widow, and they would have a really great, reconciliation or something. Did they? Yeah, I would have loved if it wasn't just a puppet fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
And I think this would have made Taskmaster more powerful. And also it would have made the connection between Black Widow and Taskmaster more powerful, I think.
That's probably also a question of time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the movie is 2 hours, 15 long, I think. And I don't think that the movie needs to be longer.
No, definitely not.
But I don't know where to add stuff or where to cut out other stuff. Because I think in the end, they focused on the family, which I think was a good decision. And they decided to shortchange Taskmaster a little bit.
Yeah. I think focusing on the family was the right choice, because now we have the new Black Widow like a real sister. And I think that gives her more weight in the future.
And I mean, she has more character than Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow had for about 3 or 4 movies.
Yeah, that's true. No, she was fun.
Yeah.
She was
fun. She was fun. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to her. Yeah,
True. No, again, I like the movie. I think it's a really good movie, and you really should watch it. Just be prepared that the third act is not as good as, say, other third acts.
Yeah. I mean, even though there is a really cool thing in the third act, I think that I really enjoyed, or I really liked, they're giving Black Widow another of her famous interrogation scenes.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
That's the thing, kind of, for me as a fan, someone who watched all the movies, that's something I like, because, it's a little reward for me. It's a callback. Yeah. I like this. That's the way she does it. And she does it so well, and they fall for it every time.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's true.
That was awesome.
Plus, I mean, Scarlett Johansson, I like her as in that role. She fit perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, the whole MCU, really good casting.
Yeah, really
good casting. Really good casting, and that's true for this movie as well. I mean, Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz, David Harbour, very, very well cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty great movie. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add, Greg?
Probably not. I think the next time we're doing one of these Marvel episodes, it's probably going to be What If and Shang-Chi or something.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's a whole bunch of Marvel TV shows that we definitely are going to talk about on the podcast. There's Shang-Chi. Is there a Spider-Man movie this year?
Is it this year? Or early next year?
Eternals. Eternals is in November.
Yes.
Eternals. And I think Spider-Man is this year as well, actually. Or early next year.
Early
there are definitely 3 more Marvel movies this year, I think. But yeah. So quite looking forward to those.
Oh.
But yeah, I think we're way over time again, as usual.
Yeah. 10%.
10%, yeah.
So I think we'll wrap it up for today. What do you think?
Yeah, let's wrap it up,
Yeah. Greg, it has been so much fun talking with you again. A dialogue.
Yeah, I missed this.
Yeah,
I missed this
as well. So then, this is it for this week. Please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. We're on all major podcasting services, YouTube, and on www.passionofthegeeks.com. You can send questions and suggestions to passionofthegeeks@gmail.com, and you can find us on Twitter at PassionOTGeeks.
And on YouTube.
Yeah. So, Greg, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Take care, Pat.
Take care. Part of the journey is the end.